What's going on, YouTube? My name is Skill37. Today's video, I just want to talk about a little demo I beat yesterday. So I really wanted to play the Final Fantasy 15 demo, so I went out and picked up Final Fantasy Type 0 HD for the PlayStation 4, which is a win-win situation for me because I actually never got to play the PSP version. Okay, so I got Final Fantasy Type 0 HD and playing the game. The game visually looks like a piece of shit. It's an HD remake of a 2011 PlayStation Portable game. Okay, so graphically the game's shit. But the gameplay is great. Like I'm really enjoying myself. Very surprised that this was a PSP game. Very, very fun combat. It's basically an upgraded Crisis Core, and it's legit. Like that's the best all I can really say at this moment. It's legit. So like most people, I really wanted to get into that Final Fantasy 15 demo. So Final Fantasy 15 has been like MIA for years. Like it was revealed as Final Fantasy Versus during the PS3 360 era. It went MIA. It went MIA. It was just like whatever. A lot of gamers gave up on it, and holy shit, out of nowhere, it's alive again. So now it's called Final Fantasy, 15. What it should have been called in the beginning, not this Versus nonsense. And I just want to talk about a couple things. So some people have been asking me, sending me little messages on the PS4. What's this? What's that? Let's just talk about. This is gonna be my review. Try to make it as quick as possible. Let's talk about graphics. Graphically, this game is ridiculous as shit. The game looks wonderful. The character models, the tessellation, the general animations, okay, the way the characters run, the way they fight, the battle effects, everything I feel is true to taking advantage of what the PlayStation 4 has to offer in terms of hardware. The game looks beautiful. That's the best way to put it. The game looks phenomenal. I love the way the characters, every little thing they do, the game just looks top notch. What I do not like about the graphics, or per se the graphics engine, the game runs at 30 frames and that tends to dip and skip depending on what's going on. And I feel by this point, come on, it's been years. You've been making Final Fantasy games for years. Final Fantasy 13. Granted, that really wasn't everyone's favorite Final Fantasy series. That had a very smooth, stable graphics engine. Why is it with this graphics engine, the game feels so like sluggish? Like the graphics, the frame rate should not dip. It shouldn't skip. That's unacceptable. Luckily, it's just a demo. Hopefully, people cry and bitch about it on the forums. Square Enix goes, okay, we'll fix it, and then by the time the game gets released, we'll get at least a locked 30 frames per second. I don't mind playing at 30 frames per second. I've been a console gamer my whole life. Granted, I have a gaming PC to my left. I don't mind at all 30 frames per second as long as it's locked. A locked 30 frames per second is better than an inconsistent 30 frames per second. Okay. So got through the game, looks great. Just gotta work on that, that engine. Sound, the game, sound effects are on point. I love the soundtrack. I love the battle music. I love the boss music. I love the way the enemies sound. I love the random chatter between Noctis and his three companions. I like the fact that all the four characters you play as you only play as Noctis, but the four characters that are part of this little demo, actually quite a long demo, each have their own accent. The voice acting is I feel very, very big budget. All four characters, their voice actors sound like they really give a fuck about their roles. I was enjoying all the chatter. Every single scene of chatter, I enjoyed. I love the way enemies sound. Once again, I love when enemies got hit, their reactions, the way all the little grunts they made, when someone got hurt, when they would cry out for help, etc. It's all great. When you summon Rama, I'm sure everyone's seen the YouTube videos of that exaggerated Rama cutscene where he grabs Noctis and he fucking smites the shit out the goddamn earth. Okay? That right there, like the orchestra starts playing, Rama comes out. It was beautiful. I was like, wow, okay, so they went all out. So right now we got good graphics, okay? We got an excellent soundtrack with good voice acting. As far as negatives is concerned, we got the frame rate dipping and skipping. So let's talk about the controls. The controls, I feel there's delay in them, and that needs to be adjusted. The sensitivity needs to be adjusted as well. I put the sensitivity all the way up. I still feel the game is very sluggish. The controls need to be more responsive. I'm not saying that they don't respond when I press the buttons, but for this kind of, action approach to a Final Fantasy game, it should be more responsive. For those asking what the battle system is like, just think a more mature version of Kingdom Hearts. The game basically plays like Kingdom Hearts. That's the best way to put it. So let's get on to that topic of combat. What do I like about the combat? What do I not like about the combat? What do I like about the combat? It's flashy. It's overly cinematic because I'm a big sucker for anything overly cinematic. It's very satisfying to kill an enemy. What I do not like about the combat, it's slow, it's sluggish, and top that off with the not as effectively responsive controls. It needs to be worked on. Also, the camera is your worst enemy. The game has a horrible lock-on system. And the game does a horrible job at explaining how this lock-on system works. When you go to an enemy, you hold R1, your character enters a lock-on mode. You can actually let go of R1, and your character will continually target this one enemy. And to make up for this game's sluggish gameplay in a sense, or in the way the characters, how slow they run whilst in combat, you're given the option to warp to an enemy's location and unleash hell on them. Now, the animations, the way the combat looks is very satisfying. Very, very, very satisfying. I just like the fact that when an enemy runs off screen, the camera doesn't follow them. You got to keep readjusting your camera, and then you got sluggish controls, sluggish camera. If you God forbid the enemy starts doing fucking, he starts John Maddening your fucking ass like a monk in Final Fantasy 14, you start becoming dizzy, and then the game's sluggish. So you got these bad combinations. The game looks phenomenal, but looking phenomenal is not enough to succeed. It's great that Square Enix, it's very obvious that with these past Final Fantasy games, they're concentrating a lot on what they can deliver to their fans visually, but they must not forget that graphics want to take you so far. Look at the Order 1886. Granted, that game is visually stunning. The gameplay was average, therefore making that game relatively fail. I'm not saying the game was bad. I'm just saying that for all the hype buildup, it just wasn't what people actually expected. Okay? Final Fantasy 15, I hope the developers pay attention to the people complaining on the forums. They have to fix this camera. This lock-on system sucks. And then, when you're trying to run away from enemies, or you're trying to target something else, sometimes you just can't target something else. Sometimes the game just tells you no. Like, you swear you're following the instructions. You're moving your camera to another enemy, and it goes right back to the other enemy. You try to run away from the enemy, and if you don't exit out lock-on mode, the camera will kind of snap back at the enemy. It's really annoying the way the camera works against you. That needs to be adjusted. So combat suffers if you don't learn how to effectively utilize this shitty camera. Another thing I like about the demo is the fact that you got 4 people on your team and you only control Noctis. Granted, Noctis can fight with a multitude of ways. You have 2 swords, 2 javelins, a great sword, and you can customize the way he approaches combat. You have several skills to choose from, like Drain Blade, Tempest, Dragoon style jumping. You can spam square to attack. You can modify what weapons he uses when you press square. You can modify what weapons he uses when you press specific face buttons. You hold L1 to dodge. You run around and you dodge with circle, I believe. So the combat does a lot right, but ultimately the flow, the feeling, the responsiveness of the controls, and the camera is holding it back. I feel that these can be adjusted with the amount of time they have left before the game's initial, with the game's release. And like I said, I'm a humongous fan. I'm a humongous Final Fantasy fanboy, and I'm just being brutally honest. Okay, I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy 15, but I'll be so full of shit if I told you that this game didn't have its issues. So now let's flash forward. You finally, wait, let me go back to the 4 characters. So you got 4 characters, and you only control Noctis. You got a few other characters. Okay, so let's say, I understand maybe maybe in this demo only, you can't control your partners. Or let's say in the final product, you can never actually control anyone other than Noctis. We don't even have a gambit system to play with. Who remembers in Final Fantasy 11, it was 12, where, some similar approach to gameplay like an MMO. You pretty much control one character. You had the option to switch between characters whilst in combat, but if you want to play as one character solely, you had a gambit system that allowed you to give your characters preset instructions that they will follow every time you enter combat. That does not exist in this demo. Hopefully, it will exist in the final release. So let's talk about the whole point of the game in the demo. Your Rolls Royce breaks down, and everyone gets out there. Everyone gets out the Rolls Royce, and the whole point of the demo is to raise 25,000 gil to get the Rolls Royce fixed by Hit It and Quit It Sydney. And you do that by going after Deadeye, aka Behemoth, which is wonderfully rendered. It is a wonderful Behemoth. Behemoth has been a staple of Final Fantasy for years, and this Behemoth in this demo looks fabulous. It's beautiful. Like, he looks ridiculous. So you when you finally get to the point where you want to take on Behemoth, that's when this game starts really showing some issues. So when you finally do a couple little sequences and you enter combat with Behemoth, now let's go backtrack to the sluggish gameplay I was talking about and fighting a monster like Behemoth that continuously attacks you and assaults you. Just imagine that. It sucks. Okay, so your AI partners do the best they can to fight Behemoth, and you can get them to the ground and shit, and you can attack them, but none of the attacks really do shit, so you immediately get the impression that you have to make a retreat. Your characters tell you have to make a retreat, you make a retreat. Now, there's a stamina system that's kind of hidden in a sense, where you're running while, you're running away from enemy, and your Noctis will eventually get tired. God forbid you get tired in that scene. Behemoth catches up to you, and he unleashes on Noctis an unstoppable barrage of attacks, and your AI partners don't fucking help you at all. So I'm over here like spamming potions, hoping he'll miss an attack, and I ended up dying in that part. I was like, okay, that was really bad design. Like that was not me whatsoever. I did not fail right there. The game failed me. That's some bad design. Okay, I just felt like I was in an unescapable situation, and that was fucking stupid. So then I finally get out that scene. You make camp and shit, and then the next day gives me my mission. So I got all these little side missions on my fucking map, and the main mission says, go attack Behemoth again. Try again. I go attack him again. I realize I cannot beat this motherfucker, so I retreat again. And nothing is indicating to me that I should do the side missions to unlock or get some kind of, hint as to what I gotta do to beat Behemoth. Nothing in this demo indicates anything at all that I should do the side missions. So I said, fuck it, we do the side missions. I did the side missions, and eventually one of the side missions leads me to a cave. And while I go through this cave of fucking epic proportions with great lighting and lots of fucking goblins and bullshit, I finally find a tree in the cave and Noctis touches the tree, and lo and behold, I can summon Rama. I swear to fucking God, in the final product, I better not get a single summon like that. That was horrible. I hope to God that this demo is just a demonstration demo. A demonstration demo is a demo put together by the devs that puts you in a situation and allows you to test the game's mechanics and gives you a taste of what to expect, but none of what you're playing is actually present in the final product. I'm not saying Behemoth and Ram won't be in the final product. I'm saying that the way you fight them, the way you obtain them, etc. Because it was just so fucking random that you just go into a cave via a side quest that was not assigned to you by an NPC. I just happen to have a side quest. I go into a cave filled with goblin shit. All of a sudden I get to a tree. It's just a tree. Son, you can summon Rama. So then, okay, I go back to Behemoth. If he hits me one time, I'm on like 0 HP. I'm given the ability to summon Rama. I hold X, and all of a sudden, I get this ridiculously summoning sequence. There is no charge bar, nothing. You can still fight during the summoning process, which I thought was really nice. And Rama just comes out of nowhere. The whole world's now purple. He picks you up, and he's like, what's good, nigga? And he holds you up like this, and he takes his giant staff, and he smites the living fuck out of Behemoth. And then I'm sitting there like, for real? I would have never figured this out if I just didn't get curious with the side quests. That was such poor fucking quest design. The game made no indication whatsoever that I could not beat Behemoth without Rama's help. Okay, that was stupid. So the summoning sequence was phenomenal. After he destroys Behemoth with his little, thunder strike, he pushes you back down. The battlefield we currently are at for about 10-15 seconds stays devastated. Then it kind of goes back to what it used to be. Then you collect the Behemoth horn. You take it back to the hidden and quitted Sydney. She fixed your Rolls Royce. The demo ultimately ends and says thank you for playing. This demo took me over 2 hours to play, and I must say, I thought it was a pretty slick demo, but they have to change quite a few things. They have to change the speed at which the game plays. They have to increase the sensitivity of the controls or the responsiveness, and the camera must be adjusted. And yes, please, we need a gambit system or some form of control of our companions. This game is graphically beautiful. This game is an amazing soundtrack, but pretty much every Final Fantasy game has been praised for its graphics and soundtrack. But every Final Fantasy also has been praised for tight controls and great combat. I'm not saying this combat is bad. I think the combat is very, what's the word I'm looking for? I think they have big dreams with this combat system. They're envisioning something really truly wonderful, but the execution needs to be worked on. So Square Enix, I have faith in you. Fix this shit. Fix it. And while you're fixing it, I'll be playing Final Fantasy HD, Type 0 HD. Great game. Next week I'll be playing The Witcher. I'll be playing Bloodborne 3. I am so fucking super right now. Next week I'll be playing that Bloodborne. Also next week I'll be traveling to California with my brother. We're gonna go watch WrestleMania live. I cannot fucking wait. And then I'm gonna have some RPG when I get back. I'm gonna have some RPGs to hold me off. I need a little break from Final Fantasy 14 online. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be playing Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, Bloodborne, and then when The Witcher 3 comes out, I'll be playing that shit. Then come the winter gaming season, I'll be playing that Metal Gear Solid 5 and that MGO online. And yeah, like everyone else, I bought the $120 expansion for Final Fantasy 14 online.